and welcome back to my film and TV channel. And we have, a remake. There's been a couple of these, well, 2 or 3, depending if you call a remake of a remake and a sequel the same thing. It probably isn't, is it? But we're going to look at, anyway, I'm waffling on that, guys. We're going to look at Father of the Bride today. Yes, not the old Steve Martin thing. We're looking at a modern version, a Latino version. How about that? 12 certificate, 117 minutes. That's long, isn't it? Bit more on that later. Classed as a romantic comedy drama, of course. We know Father of the Bride, don't we? Internet Movie Database, Joe Public, you and me. Yeah, not bad. Just under that 6 out of 10, 5.9 out of 10. We like to see 6, don't we? But not with this one. But not far off, not far off. 2,608 people scored between 6 and 9, and 1,298 between 2 and 5. So a 67% positivity. We'll take that. That's better. That sounds better, doesn't it, at 5.9. Directed by Gaz Alazraki and written by Matt Lopez. And it's, of course, based on the 1949 novel of the same name by Edward Streeter, and the third film version of the story after the original 1950 film and the 1991 remake. Of course, we did get Father of the Bride 2 as well, so they're not classing that as the same thing, which I suppose is reasonable. It's a slightly different story, but then again, so's this. Produced by Plan B. It was released on June the 16th by Warner's with HBO Max as well, so that's probably somewhere you may have seen it. It stars, yes, who's got the Steve Martin role? We got Andy Garcia. Who's got the old... I forgot her name now. My apologies, I forgot her name anyway. We've got Gloria Estefan in the wife mode, but a slightly different twist on it. Adria Arjano, Isabella Merced, Diego Boneta, and Chloe Fineman. Yes, some good actors. Gloria Estefan does a great job as well. What's it about? Well, do you need telling? Well, yeah, because it is slightly different. A father's coming to grips with his daughter's upcoming wedding through the prism of multiple relationships within a big, sprawling Cuban-American clan. Yeah, we've got Cubans, we've got Mexicans, we've got Mexican cigars and Cuban cigars. I know which one I'd rather have. Critics, well, no, the public seem to like it. What about the critics? What are they saying? Well, Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, very positive. 80% of their 44 critics who could be bothered leaving a review are positive. An average rating of 6.4 out of 10, so they enjoyed it more than Joe Public. Benjamin Lee of The Guardian, a mostly charming throwback, he said, to a time of big music, big speeches, and big kitchens. It certainly is a big kitchen. I mean, there's a kitchen in this that's bigger than the house I've lived in. So, yeah, I don't disagree with Benjamin there. Tom Riss-Lafley from AV Club, he was positive as well. He said, a best case scenario for a remake, an affectionately specific and glowingly universal take on a classic that walks down a familiar aisle with something new to say. Yeah, the original is there, but unless you've watched them recently or you've even watched them at all, there's enough in this to be slightly different, to be of an interest. Anyway, let's be honest about it. But there was Ron. Claudia Puig, I think that's how you pronounce it, from Film Week, NPR Los Angeles, KPCC NPR, assume that's some sort of channel. I have no idea. I'm not American. I don't know. You'll know if you are. I applaud the celebration, she said, of cultural diversity most of all. And secondly, the more evolved perspective on weddings and relationships. But the writing really falls short and it's not particularly funny. Yeah, I did early doors, Andy Garcia made me smile. Well, I won't say laugh out loud, but just because his mannerisms in the same way Steve Martin's, but obviously there's a bit more written humour in that as well. But yeah, certainly not as fun as Steve Martin, or even let's go back a bit further. Spencer Tracy, of course, if you've watched the original like I have a couple of times. But yeah, I don't know. I don't take the humour side out of it. There's a little bit of comedy, but not very much. More romantic drama across the Hispanic, or what they call it. I don't know what the rules are these days, across the divide between Mexicans and Cubans anyway, which I'm sure there is. They actually mentioned the Jets and the Sharks, but I thought one was white American and one was Latino, so I don't know the reference to that, but you might know a bit better than I am anyway. But the Rotten Tomatoes consensus, obviously it's positive, says The Father of the Bride is far from the first to take a trip down the aisle, but it smartly diverges from its predecessors. It does, while reaffirming the story's timeless charm. Yes, absolutely. And most dads go through it. It's a normal thing, obviously, with the little girls being taken away by some bad man. Metacritic, which uses a weighted an average, of course, 13 critics assigned the film a score of 65 out of 100. So again, still higher than the public, still positive. 8 positive, 5 mixed, and 0 negative. So we'll go with that one. And it scores anywhere between 50 out of 100 and 83 out of 100. IndieWire's Kate Erblands give it 58. She said, while many of the film's beats are familiar, director Gary Alzraki's version of this classic family comedy often misses one essential ingredient: real humour. Yeah, we're back to that again. Good point. It's a bit serious at times, and because you're expecting Father of the Bride, it sort of does come as a little bit of a shock to you when it is a little bit serious. Not saying the others didn't have their serious moments, of course they don't, but this is a bit more edgier sometimes, and obviously, as I say, it's a bit disconcerting when you're expecting a bit more humour, perhaps. Pace magazine, though they liked it, they give it 79 out of 100, said, seeing successful Latino families is a storyline that has been heretofore, I don't know how you pronounce that, before just been told from a white perspective is important. But none of that would matter if Father of the Bride wasn't entertaining. Thankfully it is. Garcia and Estefan in particular are so at ease in their roles, yes, they play off each other very, very well, that they invite us to be part of the celebration. Yeah, I agree with that, but Latino families are not supposed to have fun, entertaining, but a bit serious for me. But as I said, that's probably because you expect Father of the Bride to be funnier. So that's really what it is. It's not really in the same mould, this film. So on to my thoughts, guys, before we finish. Yes, my little summing up. I mean, due to the obvious links in the story, if they called this something else, yeah, people would be saying, oh, it's a bit like Father of the Bride, this, but it isn't in a way. It is, but it isn't. And it's not beyond the realms. They could have done this as a standalone thing and taken the hit, but obviously it's been put out there on the back of Father of the Bride, and that's where some people might be a little bit disappointed in it, because, yeah, just certain elements don't really so change that it makes it a bit more harder and harsher, perhaps, than the original Father of the Bride. If you want the humour of the originals, you don't really get it in this, unless, let's say, I dragged humour out of Andy Garcia and the way he reacted to things, which in itself isn't overly funny. I just looked at him to actually his reactions, etc., and no one else really, even the wedding planner and things like this. There's no humour there, which we get in the original. So, yeah, a bit struggling with the humour side, but it's great to look at. Great to look, as I said, the big. I love to look at a big house. I'd love to live in a big house, but yeah, it's love to see how the other half live, and that's what you get to see, which is nice enough. Nearly 2 hours, as I said earlier when I first started this little review, was a worry. Of course, it was, but it turned out okay, and seemed to go past very quickly. So that's a good sign, isn't it? I mean, 20 minutes less wouldn't have done any harm. I could have gone and done something else for 20 minutes. But I say it's not a big deal. And usually 2 hours, I'd say, oh, that's far too long. But it was okay. It was okay. Actors, brilliant. As I said, Estefan and Garcia to a lesser extent, but it's great to see. Great to see Gloria Estefan, as I say, the two rubbing off each other was fantastic. Really worked. And I'm not going to go over the top with the score. As I said, I was expecting the Father of the Bride. I expected it to be funnier. It wasn't. It was a bit less funny, more dramatic, if you like, and silly. Not silly, but the way they acted to, obviously, the preening that went on between the two dads, for instance, and stuff like that. It was funny in a way, but quite sad as well, as to see this sort of thing. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's definitely okay. It's fine. I'm not too far out of what everybody else is thinking, but just don't go into this expecting Steve Martin sort of humour or Spencer Tracy sort of humour. Say Garcia has his moments, but it's a bit more serious than that. As I said, it probably could have got away with being called something else. But so don't be too disappointed if you don't get a total remake of Father of the Bride. It's just not really in it for that. It's just a standalone thing that was fine to watch. It's okay. Well done for getting out there and passing muster with most people. Let me know what you think, guys. I don't forget to watch this, please. I watched this on Amazon. Did I say watch it on Amazon? I think it was Amazon. It could have been Netflix. I think it was Amazon Prime. So it's available as at this point in time. Thanks for watching, guys. Please, until we meet again, and that's one thing going on. Please stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.